Alright, what's going on, everybody? So, welcome back to Lifetime Angler. Today what we're doing is we're taking this circle hook and we're going to talk about how it differs from just a regular old traditional J fishing hook. This isn't going to be species specific as far as whether it be catfish, walleye, crappie, trout, whatever you're fishing for. More or less it's going to go over the hook, how it works, some tips on putting bait on the hook, removing the hook, how the hook set works, and what makes this so unique and favored by people that like to catch and release fish. So let's get on into it. Let's go ahead. Let's point out the physical difference between a circle hook and a J hook. So right here we've got a J hook. It comes down, around, the point comes out. That's what we all grew up with. A circle hook, it's going to come down, make more of an elongated bend, and then that point is going to come right back down to the shank here. I don't know how well you can see that. Hopefully that shows up for you. That's the main physical difference. You can get them with a straight eye, a bent eye, whole different thing. You can get them offset like what this one is, or straight. But that is what makes a circle hook. That gives it a unique action and really stands apart from a traditional style hook. So what I'm going to do here is switch hooks real quick. With a circle hook, there's that point's turned in, so it can't bite into the fish's mouth. And yes, I'm using a piece of a Pop-Tart box to represent a fish's mouth. Redneck, I know, but using what I got. What happens is that fish will come in, take that hook, and then as tension is applied to that line, that hook comes to the edge of the mouth, and it's going to rotate and grab through there. Sorry y'all, I'm tripping over my words, having a hard time spitting out what I want to say. But that's what you got. So what you don't want to do with a circle hook is the classic bass hook set and just jerk the thing out. It's not going to grab 90% of the time. I'll flip it the other way to where the offset's towards the fish's mouth. Again, it's not going to bite. You have to have that steady tension to get it to bite. And this is a terrible representation. And I'm going to quit swinging a hook around now before I stab myself and this turns into a hook removal from yourself video. Speaking of removal though, the other thing with the circle hook is you don't just back the hook out. What you want to do is come down, grab the hook, and you want to rotate that hook around and give it a little twist. And this cardboard's hanging on. But you want to remove that hook with a twisting motion. It's going to rotate into the fish, and you want to just back it out with that same rotating motion. Don't be a dummy, don't be an idiot like me. I guess dummies and idiots kind of harsh, but first, more times than I care to admit that I used a circle hook. I was just trying to back it out. Y'all, it was ridiculous watching me try and pull these out, but if you'll use that rotating motion, that'll get you going. Next thing I want to talk about is something when you're baiting a circle hook. With a J hook, I don't care if I cover that whole hook up, because I'm going to snap that line when that fish takes that bait. I'm going to pull that point through the bait into the fish, all of that. With the circle hook, using that rotation to penetrate itself, you don't want to fill too much of this gap area up. If we'll use this as an example, if your bait is hooked way down here and sitting up here, there's not enough room right here for this hook to rotate around the edge of the fish's mouth. Instead, what you want is you want something similar to that there. Hopefully that gives you a good idea. You know, whether it be a bait fish that size, a chunk of bait, if you're using like prepared dough baits or things like that, you just want to barely hook a little bit of that in there. You don't want to cover everything up, or it's not going to be able to rotate and that point grab like what it's supposed to. Now, what makes it so unique and why people love it for catch and release fishing, myself included, even not so much catch and release, just fishing in general, because it'll pull out and it rotates and it's almost always hooked on the outside of that fish's mouth, close by there, actually a lot of times right in the corner of the mouth. There's not a lot of gut hooks. There's not a lot of hooks down in the gills or in the throat or anything like that. So if you're releasing the fish has a better chance for survival. For my sake, whether I'm releasing the fish or I'm keeping them and going to eat them, I don't like pulling hooks out of deep down in a fish's throat or gills or whatever. Call me weird, but even if I know I'm about to harvest that fish, I don't like causing that fish to bleed out like that while I'm trying to pull a hook out. It's a weird personal thing to me. I've got no problem cutting them open, letting them bleed. If you bleed fish, I've got no problem with that. I can handle that just fine, but I don't like the fish to bleed and more damage be caused, causing stress to that fish while I'm trying to get the hook out. I want it, especially if I'm keeping that fish for food, I want it to go from in the water on my line, out, unhooked, to out of its misery, done, calm, stress-free as can be. I don't want a lot of adrenaline and things like that in the meat, but that's a whole different topic there. Y'all, I know it's short, it's sweet, but that's my rundown. That's why I consider circle hooks so special. They're one of my favorite hooks to use, especially catfish and things where I'm just setting a pole down and that's that. One more thing I'm going to mention, and I've kind of touched on it, but before I forget and just to make sure it comes through, J-hook, you set the hook. You give it a nice jerk, you rear back on it. Circle hook, you've got three options. Either one, use a real heavy sinker to where there's tension on that line when that fish pulls away. Two, fish with a tight line with the rod in a holder or in your hand or something to where as soon as that fish turns away, again, there's that tension on the line. Three, if you're gonna have slack in that line, have it sitting in a rod holder or in your hand again. When that fish takes it, just reel that slack up, load the rod. Don't jerk and set the hook. Again, you'll pull that hook right out. Anyway, I promise this time that's it. Y'all hit the like button. If you want to see more, go ahead, subscribe. Until next time, y'all stay safe and tight lines.